Hi guys, before I start this video, I want to give you a little trigger warning that I will be talking about SA, self-harm, substance abuse, and other things that might trigger some people. And if you don't feel like watching this video, just go watch something that makes you feel better instead. And I'll see you in my next video, which will not include any of these things. Hi, so if you come from Instagram, you already know who I am, but if somehow this video found you into the whole entire YouTube algorithm, hi, I'm Madalina Lange and I'm 23 years old and mentally unstable. This channel is not going to be about my BPD or me, myself and I. It's mostly going to be reactions. I want to get into true crime and yeah, I will just be testing out more stuff and see what works. But this video particularly is just going to be a little bit of an introduction, talking a bit about myself and replying to my most asked questions from Instagram. So let's start with the basics. My name is Madalina Lange and I also have another middle name which is Ana Maria. Not a lot of people know this about me, but now you're one of the people who know. I'm a mom also to a 2-year-old little boy. He's literally my reason to do anything and everything in life. And my hobbies are singing. I really love to sing and to write songs, and I really love baking and cooking. Obviously, I create a ton of reels every single day. So because I have been hiding what happened to me so good, nobody noticed it, nobody. And I just went about my life being a kid, keeping that to myself. But then when I was around 8 years old, 8.5, sorry for the timelines if they don't really match. Sometimes I barely remember anything from my childhood. I'm just trying to gather the things that I do remember. So one day I came from school and my mom told me, your dad's in the hospital, blah, blah, blah. She talked to me and she said he's been diagnosed with schizophrenia. And I didn't know what it was. I never noticed anything wrong with him. He was a very, very kind and loving dad. He was literally, in my eyes, the most perfect human being. He was always calm. He never screamed. And I thought to myself, I will want a man like my dad one day that never screams and is always just so calm. After that day, I started noticing some things as well. He was starting to become more and more weird every single day. Also, he stopped going to work because he had such big paranoia. And then when he stopped going to work, my mom started having more jobs than just one. So I barely saw her. I was living with my grandma, my dad's mom, my aunt. My parents were always at work. My grandma had her stuff to do. So I was always with my aunt because she brought me to kindergarten, to school later in life. She was always there with me. And then another thing changed. My mom got pregnant with my little sister, and that was the best day of my life when I found out I'm gonna have a little sibling. After my sister was born, my mom got postpartum depression. She didn't want to spend time with me. She was always with the baby, and she pushed me away. She pushed everyone away. The only person I had left was my aunt, because my dad, he was always there as well. But for me, it wasn't that good to be around him because he would say a lot of creepy stuff, talking about his hallucinations. And to me, as a little kid, I thought he was seeing ghosts or real demons or whatever. He wasn't aggressive or anything ever. He was just scary for me as a little girl. So I would just spend all of my time with my aunt. The biggest life-changing event for me is, I would say, when my dad had a really bad schizophrenia episode, and I remember him coming into the living room where I was alone. I don't really know if I can say this on YouTube, but like, he held a knife to himself and he started screaming that he's going to take himself out and he's gonna take me out. But I knew that that's not my dad. I knew it was his schizophrenia talking and not my dad. But it didn't stop until my grandma came in and took the knife away from him, calmed him down, calmed me down. I went into my aunt's room, and that day is the day I think everything changed for me, because from then on I started having very, very bad panic attacks. I couldn't sleep at night, and the panic attacks got so bad. I had to stop going to school. I even had to be hospitalized because they would be back to back until my body completely gave out and I would faint from them. And in the hospital, they kept me sedated the whole entire time I was there. I would only wake up to eat, go to the toilet, or take a shower, and then I would go back to sleep. I don't really remember anything from that period because I was always very medicated, even when I came out of the hospital 3 months later or so. After the incident with my dad, my mom had enough. Poor woman, I understand her. She tried her best to stay by his side, but he didn't want to let anybody help him. So my mom took the decision to take me and my sister, who was still a little baby, and move away. We didn't move in another city. We still lived in the same city, so I could go to my dad's place every time I wanted to see him. My baby sister used to always go to grandma while mom was working and I was at school, but the second I came back from school, I went to my grandma as well, where my aunt was living too. I literally only saw my mom just a few minutes before going to sleep and then a few minutes in the morning before she left for work. Even though my mom was working 3 jobs every single day, we barely had any money, and there were actually times where there was nothing to eat, so she would send me and my sister to neighbors or my grandma or my aunt's house or to whoever so that we can get some food. And then one day my mom told me she got a job in Germany, which meant I would not see her for 2 full years. And during the time that my mom was in Germany, my main caregiver, the aunt that was living with my dad, sadly got cancer and she had to go to the hospital. That meant I was completely on my own. I was living at my grandma and my dad, but because my dad was so mentally ill, he literally could not take care of us. So my mom decided to ask her mother if she can take care of us. And mind you, they were really poor as well. And I remember sometimes I would walk out on the street and hoping that I would find money on the floor just so I can go and buy even a small treat that I could eat because I was so hungry. Also, there were times where we had no heat at all in the winter. I remember this day specifically where I was alone with my sister and I was so cold. So we put on our jackets and I put blankets over us and I cuddled her so we can fall asleep and feel safe and warm. I just remember that I was really scared because I was an 11 or 12-year-old alone in the dark with a kid, with a small little kid. She was maybe 1.5 years old at the time. And during that time, I was also getting bullied a lot in school because I was having panic attacks. People didn't understand that. It wasn't something that other kids really experienced. And you know, when kids don't understand something, they tend to be mean. I don't blame anyone, they were all kids. I hated going to school so much because of my teacher as well. I had a teacher, she was, I guess, my biggest bully. I don't know what she had against me. She would always make me feel bad if I ever gave the wrong answer, and that's why math gives me such bad anxiety because my math teacher used to make so much fun of me. And I even remember the teacher always telling me that my panic attacks are fake and that I'm just using them as a way to get away from school, even though they were very, very real and they were affecting me and my physical and mental health very much. It's just hard knowing that you're going to school to learn, but instead of learning, your teachers are bullying you, and also the other kids in the classroom are also bullying you as well. Oh my god, sorry. So I did not focus on learning as much as I wanted to because I was always scared. What will the next thing be that someone will make fun of me for? Will it be that I don't have the nicest clothes? Will it be because of my panic attacks? Will it be because of the way I look? I don't think most of my classmates remember that, but I will forever remember the things that were said to me, which is weird in a way because I barely remember my childhood and the good memories, but the bad ones stayed in there, and I just remember the bad times. There were a lot of other things that happened, but as I said, I will touch on those in another video. Right after my 14th birthday, um, my mom gave me the call that we can finally come to Germany. And to me, that was such a great thing to happen because I thought I can make a new personality, new friends, start a fresh life, learn better in school, and I will not be known as the girl with the panic attacks and the ugly clothes. I really wanted to feel included and to feel like a normal kid. So I thought to myself, this is going to be great. I got enrolled into school. It was 2 years of learning the language, and I gave my everything. I had really good grades, and the most important part, I was making friends. And I told nobody about my panic attacks, about whatever happened in Romania. Nobody knew none of that. I was making sure that I only told people the things that I wanted them to know about me and nothing more. But when I was like maybe 14 and a half, my mom had a friend and she left with that friend for a party, and her son was 1 year younger than me, but he was very tall. I'm a petite girl, I have a very small frame, and that guy was huge next to me. And I just remember, like, I was laying in bed and he was laying next to me. We were kids watching TV. I didn't think nothing of it. But then he started getting really touchy, and he put his hand on my leg and just like kept going up. And as I took his hand from my leg away, he just got so angry, looked at me, and I got up. When I stood up, he came in front of me and took me by my wrists and pinned me against the wall. And his grip on my wrist was so tight that it even left marks. I was so scared, but in that moment, my little sister came into the room and he let me go. I just was so petrified. I didn't know what to do. I just lay down on the bed again with my sister next to me, and we watched TV. He was sitting on the floor. I told my mom about it, and I never saw that guy again. Never, ever. And I'm so glad. But after I turned 15, a few months later, another life changing event would happen that would change me. I was invited at a party, and I didn't actually want to go first because I have a lot of social anxiety and I'm not a party type of person, really not. But this time I wanted to be included. I wanted to be that girl, as I keep saying. So I put on my nicest clothes that I had and I went to that damn party. And there was this guy who kept coming to me with a drink. It was, I think, vodka and what was it? Vodka and Fanta. I drank a bit of alcohol before that, but never really got drunk. And he just kept asking me to drink it. And he was very pushy about it. I didn't want to, but he kept asking and asking and asking until I finally gave in and I drank it. And then he came with another one and another one. And I got very drunk. But unbeknownst to me, there was something else in that drink other than alcohol. I don't know what it was, but I just know that after a time, I just remember everything in flashes. Like, I just remember dancing with my friend and going out on the balcony talking to my mom. Then all of a sudden it was dark and I was feeling very sad and I started to cry. So there was this one guy who told me, I will bring you home. I knew him and I trusted him, so I got in his car, but before we go home, he wanted to go to the store and pick up a few beers um, and some other alcohol. Right 5 minutes before heading home, I remember that he drove past my house and right at the entrance of a forest where he told me that I should drink. And I was already very inebriated at the time. I, I don't know why I did it, but I drank even more. And I blame myself a lot for that. I knew from before that he liked me because he told me a lot of times I have a crush on you, blah, blah, blah. But I never really thought anything of it because he was way, way older than me. He was an adult and I was a teenager. I was 15. And I was so inebriated, I barely remember anything from that night. I just have this flash of me in the back of his car with him and the pain that I felt. That's all I remember. And then I woke up the second day feeling like shit and knowing that something had happened. It's kind of weird to talk about it and the way that I was feeling because I can't really describe it. I'm not really that good with words. But I just remember feeling very used, and it was my first time. I do not remember my first time, just a few seconds of it. I never wanted my first time to be like that. I always had it imagined in a beautiful way with someone that I really loved and trusted, and when I felt ready for it. I was not ready for it. I really wasn't. At that time, because I had lost my virginity to that man, I thought to myself that I had no other choice than to get in a relationship with him. And I'm so scared to talk about it because I know he's watching my videos. But yeah, this is how I felt. That's why I got into a relationship with him, and not because I loved him or because I had a crush on him. I did it because I felt used by him. If he sees this video, I'm never gonna give out your name. I'm never gonna say who you are. I don't want people to know that. I don't want you to get hate. I just don't want to get into any drama. Just let it be. This is the point where people judge me the most, where I say that I got into a relationship with him. But imagine you're just a 15-year-old girl who just lost her virginity, and all you've been told since you were a little girl is that your purity is the most important thing about you. You should only give it to one man that you really love and that you really see your future with. So I thought to myself, yeah, this is the man for the future now. And I got into a relationship with him. It was a very toxic relationship. We used to break up very many times. We've been together for 4 years, and those 4 years were hell. I found out he was texting a lot of other girls. Like after a time, I really did catch feelings for him, if I'm honest. Because like if you're with someone in a relationship for a long time, you will eventually catch feelings for them. He was an adult and I was a kid. I was going to school, he was going to work, and then he had his stuff. I was doing my own stuff. But the thing that hurt me most is his mom always wanted me to cook for him, to clean for him, and telling me stuff like, what other man is ever going to accept you if you're not cooking or cleaning? And I was a teenager going to school. I was supposed to focus on school and not on that man's needs. During that time, I started to drink very heavily. I would get drunk every single day. I kept taking my mom's alcohol that she had for special occasions and stuff, and I would just drink them. It got so bad to the point where I even took it to school. Instead of water, I was drinking vodka. Nobody knew I had vodka in my water bottle. It was not water. I was drinking straight up vodka every day. And I was drinking sometimes so much to the point where I would just pass out and wake up where I passed out. Even though I was drinking and doing all that stuff, I was still having really good grades. I was learning very well. And so the teachers moved me to a really good school. But when I got into that classroom, I just felt so overwhelmed with everything because school started in September, but in August I was in Romania because we would always go in Romania to visit my dad and my aunt and my grandma. I found out that my dad was really, really sick. He had a tumor, and I don't know if it was cancer or no, so that's why I'm not saying that it's cancer, but he had a tumor. All I could think of is what if I'm going to lose him to that tumor like I lost my aunt who was my main caregiver. I just I just couldn't stand the thought of losing him because even though he was schizophrenic and he did a lot of weird things, he was still my dad and I still loved him a lot. So I got very overwhelmed with everything and I just stopped paying attention in school. I went to the teachers and told them, hey, I don't understand anything. I don't want to go to school anymore. The mental load was so much I couldn't learn. So they decided to put me in a thing called Ausbildung. In my case, I was doing that in a kindergarten. I was working as a kindergartner, and I really actually enjoyed that. But I was there in the classroom for maybe 2 months until my dad passed away. My dad passed away right on 23rd December, and on 25th, so exactly on Christmas Day, it's where his funeral was. I could not go to the funeral. I couldn't bear to see my dad like I saw my aunt. I just couldn't. And I know people judge me so much for it. And even to this day, I can hear things from people. Why didn't you go to your father's funeral? He would have wanted you there. I am glad I didn't go because I did not have to see my father dead, and I have him alive in my memory and in my heart, and he's always going to be alive for me. After that, after we came back from Romania in December, I went to the teachers and I told them I want to drop out of school completely. I can't do anything anymore. I need a break from everything, but they did not let me. And they told me about this program. The name of the program was BFZ in German. I'm not going to explain what it stands for, but it was basically just a place where confused teenagers would go to find either work or something that they just want to do in life, the next career you want to pursue. I arrived there very, very depressed. That's also the time where I started doing other substances, not just alcohol. I was just trying to numb all the feelings. I was just trying to numb the toxic relationship that I was in. I was trying to numb the thoughts of my dad, the panic attacks. I still had a lot of panic attacks during that time. I would just go into that class and I wouldn't speak to anybody. There was just this one person, one girl that I knew from before being into that program. I would talk to her mostly and just like casually to some other kids in there, but mostly I would keep to myself. I felt like it was all so pointless. The reason of me being there, it was so pointless, and whatever the teachers in that program had to tell me, I just did not care because I did not want to be there and I did not want to be on this planet, if I'm honest. All I could think of all the time was taking my own life. And thinking about it now makes me really sad because my family has already experienced so much loss, and me putting my family through that again, especially my mom and my sister, I just can't wrap my head around it that I actually wanted to do that. Something else that I was struggling a lot with while I was in that program was self-harm, and I used to struggle with that before as well. Ever since I was 14 and a half, that I think that's when I started to do that. But when I was in that program, it got even worse because of all the things that I was going through. I felt like I really needed to give myself some physical pain so that the mental pain won't be so much. And another thing that happened when I was there was that I finally managed to break up with the toxic ex. But it wasn't for a long period of time because we still stayed in contact, and I was finally free to be myself, and I didn't have to deal with all my mental stuff. And also, on top of that, be there for a man's needs. And by that, I don't mean the physical needs. I mean cooking for him and doing all those things that actually you're supposed to do when you're married to a person and not when you're just girlfriend and boyfriend and you're a kid who has to focus on other stuff. During that period, there was also another person that I got kind of close to. I don't really want to talk a lot about that person. It's just the way that they made me feel. It was like kind of the highlight and the reason that I kept going to that program. After I stopped talking to that person, I also stopped going to the program because I really just didn't want to see them anymore, because I knew that I get attached to people, whether it's friends or a family member. I just get attached to one person. I just felt embarrassed for it for some reason. And so when I stopped going to that program, I got even more into doing all the substances and the drinking. I was telling my mom that I'm going to the program when I was actually going somewhere else. And I would just drink there all day and try to forget everything. I was just trying to numb myself. One night it got so much. I was just thinking of everything that happened in my life until now, and I felt like literally everyone I just felt like everyone that I have ever cared for just came and either somehow died or just left me or just didn't care about me. And that's not, and I'm not talking about romantic partners, I'm talking about family members as well and friends that I've had. I just felt so alone, even though I was not alone. I had so many people who cared for me, and my sister and my mom cared for me, even though at the time I was having so many fights with my mother because we didn't live with each other before. Like, she was my mom, but she was always working, so I didn't get to know my mom and who she is. It was like living with a stranger, and we were so different because I was raised by my aunt mostly, and my mom had a completely different style of parenting, and it was all new for me. So we got into a lot of arguments, and I thought that she hates me, but she actually did love me. She just didn't know how to cope with how I was either. So that night when everything got too much, I told myself that I really don't want to do this anymore. So I drank a lot like the usual, but this time I went to the medicine drawer and I took all the pills that I could find and I sorted them by color on the floor and just started taking them one by one and drinking them with alcohol. I just remember texting a few people about it, maybe like 3 people. My best friend at the time, Denisa, who I love so much, she's been there for me. Sorry. But like, she's been there for me through everything, and I'm crying now because I feel so bad that I just ghosted her. After the second I got a bit better, I just stopped talking to her. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. But yeah, we're friends again now, so we're talking again, which is sad because she moved to Romania, so I don't get to see her anymore. We're just talking through the phone, but that's cool. I'm glad that we're connected with each other again. But at the time where I texted her, she had to go to work very early, so she couldn't reply to any of my messages. And the other people that I texted, I think, didn't realize how serious the situation was. They didn't take me serious because the people knew that I'm always drunk and sad and whatever. They just thought it's a whatever thing, that tomorrow will be fine. I just felt like that's my cue, that's my sign that really nobody cares about me. So I took the rest of everything. I was laying there on the floor thinking about just how nice it will feel to finally let all to finally just let everything behind and to not have to worry about the thing, about the future, about anything else bad happening to me again, about losing anyone. And I didn't think of, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm crying. I talked about this so many times. I have no idea why I'm crying. I just didn't think of the pain that I would cause to others and the grief that they would feel. And mind you, I was sharing a room with my sister and she was sleeping on the bed while I was on the floor waiting to pass. And I just can't stop thinking about the fact, what if she woke up in the morning and she would just see me laying there thinking I'm sleeping, but I'm not sleeping. And at the time, I was very drunk, so I didn't really pay attention to the time. But I remember as I was laying on the floor, my alarm started going off that it was time for me to wake up, and it would be a school day, so I would have to go to that program. And in my drunk state, I was thinking to myself, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go to the program. And I got on the bus. I have no idea how I got to the bus because I was so, so inebriated. I didn't know where left and right is, but I got at the bus in my pajamas, mind you, and all I could do was 2 bus stations. After 2 bus stations, I started to feel so sick and dizzy. I just asked the bus driver to stop the bus, even though there wasn't a bus station, to stop the bus because I can't drive anymore, and he let me out. I just remember walking to the hospital. I told to myself, okay, I took a lot of pills. It's not okay. I am going to the hospital because at that time I was like, I don't want to die anymore. I just want to go to the hospital and let them take whatever out of me. So I arrived there. I don't know. It was a long walk. I don't know. I swear to God, I have no idea how I got there. But I just remember being on the grass, a few flashes of me walking on the street, and then I remember myself in the emergency room with a lot of doctors coming in and out and asking me what I took and what's wrong with me. And then there was also this nurse that wanted to take my blood, and she told me to pull my arms up, and she wanted to take the blood, but I had literally self-harmed myself up to here and on the other hand as well. There were so many cuts on my arms that she didn't want to risk me getting an infection if she put a needle in, so she had to take the blood from here. As I was waiting for the results, they gave me a cup of black something to drink. I think it was charcoal, and I drank that. And I just remember, sorry if it's kind of gross now, I just remember puking a lot. And the doctors were actually really glad that that happened because they said if it hadn't come out on its own, they would have had to pump my stomach. And they brought me with the ambulance in the psych ward, and I had to stay there. And I think I was there for like maybe 2 weeks or something like that. I don't really remember. But I remember that I was not allowed to go outside at all because I was such a danger to myself. They just kept me in there, and the only people that came to visit me was my mom, my sister, my best friend, and my ex. After I got out of the psych ward, I tried my best to not drink again, but I was still drinking and taking a lot of other stuff and going to therapy. I decided to go one last day to that program, and I remember just the teacher taking me aside to talk to me about what happened. Literally everyone else acted like nothing happened, and I'm so glad that nobody was like, oh my god, are you okay? I hate when people come to me and are like, oh, are you okay, what happened? Like, no, just leave me alone, please. I don't like that at all. I then told myself I don't ever want to come back to this place because I really felt like nobody there liked me. So I just didn't go there anymore. I went to work instead, which is the biggest regret that I have in my entire life, that I decided to go to work instead of finishing school. But then as years passed, I went to therapy, I stayed away from that ex, I broke up with him, and I started working on myself. I didn't drink anymore, I didn't take any substances, I was meditating a lot. I was so happy. I was in such a good place in my life finally. And then we're coming to one of my most asked questions: how I met my husband. I knew him ever since we were, I think, 18. So we just knew each other through friends, and we started, like, I started texting him first because he didn't do the first move. He had no idea I'm into him. Things moved pretty quickly with us. We moved in together after 3 weeks. After only a year and a half of being together, I got pregnant. After I gave birth, we had a rough time, like the roommate phase. We were so focused on the baby, we just forgot ourselves. I don't feel like things will ever be the same as before having a kid. Becoming a mom made me a better human than I've ever been before. and it gave me a purpose in life. Now, every time I feel depressed or sad, all I think of is my son and the example I want to set for him. I just want to give my son everything that I didn't have, and I don't mean material stuff. I mean the love and attention and affection that a kid actually needs to grow and be a healthy human being. Which brings me to today. Now I'm a mom and I'm living a pretty normal, boring life, as some will say, but I love my boring life. I used to be the kind of friend that if we didn't talk for 2 days, a ton of stuff happened in those 2 days, and now I'm just chilling. But the traumas that I've had throughout my life until now make me be always on the lookout. I've been conditioned to this thing where when I'm in a beautiful moment, all I can think of is when's the next bad thing going to happen? And I can never fully be present in a beautiful moment without thinking of after this good thing, something bad is going to happen. Because that's how my life has always been. But yeah, I'm actually just really glad and happy that I'm in a good place right now. Anyway, if you actually watched until here, I would so appreciate it if you would comment what's your most beautiful memory that you can remember from your childhood, because I wanna hear the beautiful things from someone's life. And please like and share this video. I hope that if you're someone that went through something similar like I did, that you know you're not alone, and opening up is so much better than keeping everything bottled in. I will link down in the description a few hotlines that I think are very important. If you or anyone that you know is struggling, you can just call there and they will talk you through the steps that you have to take to get better. I just want to thank you so, so much if you actually watched until here. And yeah, have a nice day. And I'm very happy to see you in my next video, which will not be this type of video. It will either be a reaction or something else. I'll just surprise you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.